Welcome, friends, to another episode of the Pick Six podcast. I am your host, DPZ, with my co-host, Drake's PC. We are coming to you live from Arkansas and Seattle, Washington, and at the same time, in two different time zones. And we are going to talk about trading cards and questions regarding trading cards. Once again, Drake, how you doing?
DPZ, I'm doing great. Hope you had a great Memorial Day holiday weekend. I know we skipped last week. That was our first week. We were off for a little bit of load management, but I think it was well deserved. And we had a chance to spend some time with our family and catch up on things around the house as we head into the summer season. Summer 2024 is upon us. So doing well, but good to be back in the studio. Good to talk the hobby with you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know you got some cards to show us, but I can't help but want to segue based on what you just said. Summer 2024. Didn't we have a question about something happening in the summer of 2024?
We did. We had a question come in from our good friend, fellow content creator, Mr. Iowa Dave Sports Cards. And what Dave asked about, he said, what's more fun? There's this event coming up in July, the National. I think most people have heard about it. And he says, what's more fun, the lead up to an anticipation for the National or the National itself? And so I'll let you answer that first, DPZ. I know you're not a typical National attender. So would love to get your perspective on that question.
I think the lead up seems pretty fun. I've never been to the National, so I got to be honest about that. That's why when we get these questions, you're the guy to answer those questions. I'm an internet hobby guy up to this point anyway, and local shows only. I do local shows for sure. I would say it's exciting hearing about the lead up. I mean, it seems like it's the place to be the past few years, but haven't you been hearing some chatter that maybe there's not as much excitement leading up to the National? Will you not have as many people going?
Yeah, I have. It's been interesting kind of in some group chats that I'm in and listening to other content creators talking about the National. And it's interesting. I'm hearing more people that either say they're not going this year for whatever reason or the other. Some are saying they're going to try to go, but they're not sure. And I'm wondering, just really in my head, what's driving that? Is it, is it all financial based because people are spending money on other stuff outside the hobby, kind of strapped for cash? Is the location not great for folks to get to? Last year was Chicago, this year Cleveland. You can't walk really from the hotels to the convention center, kind of so on and so forth. Does Fanatics Fest, that's going to be in the New York area, that's I think 2 weeks after the National. Does that have anything to do with it? So it's just some things I've been kind of wondering in my head. It's just like, man, the National is like the Super Bowl of the hobby. But there just doesn't seem to be the same level of excitement this year as there has been in the past few years. And I'm just kind of wondering why.
Maybe it's a combination of all of that. It's not speaking from experience being there and knowing what's big and not big. I mean, based on everything I've heard, that it's been pretty well attended the past few years and through the boom cycle we had. Maybe it's just leveling out and it's going to go back to the way it used to be. If you have people that actively go year in, year out and are active in a lot of other shows, maybe they're just burnt out and they're like just picking and choosing what they want to do. Maybe this Fanatics Fest, but that's in the East Coast. So that limits a lot of the folks that come or that would want to go from over here. That's a pretty big trek for cards. I personally wouldn't. I don't know if I would, even if I had the ability to go, but I just, with my daughter's tournaments and we're just so busy with 4 kids, it's harder for me to break away at that time. But even if I was able to go, I don't have any money to spend on cards right now. If anything, I'm selling and just slowly consolidating. I mean, that's the most consolidating, just kind of thinning out and re-auditing like I always do, changing my mind like I always do, but mostly, using Card Capital to buy cards. I don't have cash to go there and spend on them, that's for sure. So it would be tough to go there because I'd feel like if I went to a show like that, I'd find cards I'd want so bad that I've been looking for and keen on, and it would be difficult for me. So I know you trade and use cards as collateral and sell stuff, do all that too, but I don't know. I feel like it would be too tempting for me, and it'd almost be like I shouldn't go because I'd be too tempted. Maybe that's just
Yeah.
And that's just my own personal opinion, and I haven't gone yet, so I can't really say that. But I think people's wallets are a little bit light right now across the board.
Yeah, yeah, no, I would certainly agree with that, and I will say for me personally, right, I'm as most everyone knows who tunes in, I travel for work, so I'm able to accumulate points, and I'm able to use these points for airfare, for rental cars, for the hotel, all those expenses and stuff, right? Because if you don't have those, gosh, you're going to spend $1,500 to $2,000 just on that right there, and that's a lot of money to spend. So I'm extremely fortunate. I get to travel for work and accumulate those points, and I get to use them on on things like this. But I know that not everybody has that luxury. But just kind of going back to Dave's question. So I will tell you, I'm fired up, man. Like, I'm excited for the National. In fact, one of my neighbors and good friends, he's going to his first National with me this year, and we actually booked our flights together yesterday. And so he's excited. I've got another guy down the street. He's never been to a National before. He was sending me text messages today saying that he was looking at the lineup of athletes that are going to be signing, and he's like, "Man, I really want to go to this thing." And so, like, there's two new people who've never been before that are really excited about it and are wanting to go. And so I think, there's, as we talked about in our last episode, there could be some hobby burnout going on with some other people. But I think we have to remember that the hobby extends far beyond Instagram and Twitter and things like that, because both of these guys are not on Instagram. They're not on Twitter. They don't share their collections and things like that. They're just excited about, hey, I've never been to Cleveland before. I get to go to the National, things like that. So that's helping build my anticipation for it because other people are excited about it. But then as far as like getting there, it's fun to get deals done ahead of time. And then you have the anticipation of certain cards waiting on you, but you get to go there, you get to meet the person, do the deal in person, which to me is a lot more fun. I mentioned before, I don't like the transactional aspect of the hobby. I love the in-person deal, getting to know the person, behind the card and that sort of thing. So I'm looking forward to that. And then also getting to the National, just seeing all the friends that you talk to on Instagram all the time. It's fun to see them in person, grab some dinner, maybe grab some drinks, walk around the show with them. There's trade nights, that sort of thing. So for me, like, that's my favorite part about the National is not so much walking around and getting that crick in your neck from looking at, thousands of showcases. It's just getting to spend time and be around people that you talk to, in many cases, more so than your friends outside the hobby, but you get to spend time with them and talk about the hobby, something that you have in common, maybe make some deals, go to dinner, do that whole sort of thing. And that to me is what I think is my favorite thing about the National each year.
That's great. It sounds like you should be the spokesman for the National every single year. Positivity just comes flying through the screen. That's great. You make me want to go. I mean, honestly, seeing people that I've met online and actually meeting some of them in person would be that would be wonderful and something that I would cherish and look forward to doing, hanging out with you there and just maybe doing a live show or something. That kind of stuff sounds like a blast. So, one of these days I'm going to get there. These years I'm going to get there. It'll be fun and we'll all meet up and have a good time. But, once we get out of this inverted yield environment in the banking world, things will get a little bit easier and hopefully the economy, kicks back up into gear and, some people have a little bit more money in their wallets and, keep going on it. But it doesn't stop us from buying cards, does it? It doesn't stop us from continuing to collect. I know I've got a mail day that's not quite here yet, so I'm probably going to have to push it to next week so I can share those cards. But you do have some cards you want to share. We'll take a break into the questions here. We had a comment, right? And why don't you just walk us through the reasoning behind this showcase of cards?
Yeah, so I've got a few cards here, and I just kind of want to share, and I know the comment was based around, sharing cards, and it may be Prism Black Finites or Golds or something that the hobby seems to covet and is always pumped, so to speak, and things like that. But really, when I shared that Prism Black Finite of Darren McFadden last time, what I was trying to show is that for some people, if you're not collecting a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning or a Patrick Mahomes or one of the bigger names like that, you can get Prism Black Finites of certain players that you collect for under $200. And so that was the main reason for sharing that card, is because it's a player that I have a connection with since he played at Arkansas. It's a black finite. It's an awesome looking card, and it was less than $200. So I wanted to share that, but I'm also going to go into some other cards that I'll share that are kind of in that under $500 range that I think are really cool. But I do want to share one. It doesn't fit in that category, but I did make an upgrade, and I wanted to kind of talk through it. I shared this on my Instagram, but this is the 2003 Ultimate Collection, the dual Ultimate Signatures Gold. And so I had the out of 50 version. This is out of 25. This is 21 out of 25. I had the out of 50 version, and I saw this become available. And so I wanted to make the upgrade to go from out of 50 that was in a PSA 10-10 to this out of 25 that was in a PSA 10. It's certainly, I like the eye appeal of the card with the gold on it better. First year of Ultimate Collection is really cool. I love Drew Brees. While he was more well known with the Saints, can't forget his time with the Chargers, where he started with 2001 to 2005. Got to play with LaDainian Tomlinson. You have the two Hall of Famers on the same card. For some people who love jersey numbers, LaDainian Tomlinson was 21. The card's number 21. So I thought that was kind of neat. Just had a lot of things that as a collector just really, or just some things that I was like, this would be a really cool card to make the upgrade from, the out of 50 version, which was awesome, to this out of 25. Which, speaking of, my out of 50 is at PWCC right now. Not to, I guess I am pumping my own auction, but we're not.
Weeks.
Yes, I have. Not endorsed by PWCC, but I did want to share, just from an awareness standpoint, that my PSA 10-10 of the dual auto is on PWCC. It does end this coming Sunday, which is June the 2nd. So if you're interested in that card, I'd please encourage you to check it out. It's a beautiful card in hand. So just wanted to share that. So that's the first one. The next one I wanted to share, this is a little bit different card. So again, let me get it right. So this is the 1999 Skybox Molten Metal. This is, of course, Peyton Manning. It's I'm getting some glare here. It's the Perfect Fit Red. So this card is actually made out of metal. And the red version here is numbered out of 25. So this is 24 out of 25. And so what's neat about this is in the Skybox Molten Metal set, there were different colors of this card. So there was a bronze that was inserted 1 in 24 packs. A silver was 1 in 72 packs. There was a gold version inserted 1 in 216 packs. But the red was just, there was no insertion, like pack odds. It was just numbered out of 25. So you'll see some of the bronze, silvers, and golds. Obviously, the gold is the most rare. It's not numbered, just based on the number of packs it takes to acquire. The red is numbered out of 25, but just be careful if you're looking for that of a player you collect that's in that 1999 set. Just be careful, because some of the reds are backdoor copies, meaning they're not numbered. And so, you want to make sure that you're getting one of those numbered copies for your collection. So,
yeah, that's important.
And the last card I'll share real quickly, and this is the one that came to mind when we had the comment last time. So this is the Peyton Manning 2000 Collector's Edge Masters Game Gear Leatherbacks. And so it's an SGC holder, and you'll notice on the bottom, if I can figure out how to, it says 1 of 12. So there were 10 players in the set, and some of the players were, Mr. Edgerrin James, Kurt Warner, Randy Moss, Dante Culpepper were part of the 10-card set. Of course, Peyton was there. Each copy was numbered to 12, so there were 12 copies. But on the back of the card is an entire piece of a football that was used in the game by the player depicted on the card. So each one of these is unique, right? So if I went and got a different Peyton Manning, one of the other 12, the football would look different on the back side of it. So just to me, I think, and this was I think I got this at a local show a couple years ago for like $300 or something. So it's not a $10 card, but it's not going to break the bank either. And that, to me, I think is really cool, just to have the, game use football on the back. Anyway, so I just wanted to share that. Again, one you probably haven't seen before. one that's not typically thrown out in the hobby like a, Essential Credentials or PMG or something like that, but one that I think is a really neat looking card. And, if you've got a player that's that you collect that's in that set, I'd certainly encourage you to check that out.
Well, I guess I'll cheat a little bit too, because I did have a mail day last week and we didn't have a show, so I wasn't able to show it. And it's a card I won on PWCC for right around $1,000, a little over, like I think $1,000, $20. So it's a little over our little budget of 500 and more, but it is a card that kind of spoke to me. It is another Kobe. I have two, and I wanted to add a third again, and it's the profiles hand numbered BGS 7. And there's not a whole lot going on in the back, but it's got a refract to it. It's a bit of an embossed, hand numbered out of 100. There's a profiles 3, profiles 2, and profiles 1. I thought this card was cool. I used to have a David Robinson version, sold that. I'd love to get a Michael Jordan, which would be kind of cool. Saw one of those at auction. But yeah, these are rumored to be hand numbered by leprechauns. So that's kind of a cool little stat. Leprechauns hand numbered these things. I've heard that many different times, and I'm going to hang on to that as fact, that I have a card hand numbered by a leprechaun, and it's a die cut. It's Kobe. Out of 100, how can you go wrong? And it's not totally breaking the bank, a little bit more than, but still, I have plenty of cards that are worth less than that. Most of these 87 Fleer PSA 9s are worth less than 100. So I'm definitely putting that set together, and it's been a lot of fun to do that. Great story. Great sharing, great opportunity to share some cards. Hopefully everybody enjoyed that.
So we're just going to ask real quick, that's the first time I've seen that card. That's a really neat card, but I did have a question for you. So are you a number on the front or number on the back guy?
Ooh, good question. It's kind of like a boxer's or brief question, right? I like numbers on the front. I feel like it presents the card in a neat way. You see it right away. You know exactly what it is. When you got to turn it to the back, I don't know. It almost, here's another thing too. I feel like, and maybe this is just doesn't make sense or isn't relevant, but I feel like it's harder to counterfeit a card when you have to punch it on the front, because it's way more visible. It's harder to just slide it away and then hide it somewhere. Like on some of these Flair showcases, you got going this way versus vertical versus horizontal, and it's a different color, but it's on the back. And people sometimes don't look at the back very carefully and you just buy it. I feel like when you have it on the front, it's right there. I mean, you're seeing it. Some people love to post just the front of the card on a post on eBay, but you're seeing it right there, and you can detect it quite quickly. So I'm a numbers on the front type of guy. I think most of my cards that are numbered are that way.
Yep. No, good. I was just curious. I'm more of a numbers on a number on the back kind of guy. That's just me, but I do have several cards that are numbered on the front, and I don't know. The thing with me is I like it all, and I don't get really called up to say, no, I really don't want that card because it's hand numbered or it's numbered on the front or things like that. That's not extremely relevant to me in terms of what I look for in my collection.
How about if it's like rumored to be numbered by a leprechaun? Would that get you?
Well, that's got to make it even more special.
That's what I thought. I mean, I think about a Celtic. Think about it like a Larry Bird card or a Celtic card. I mean, how cool would that be in green?
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh man, I'm telling you something. All right, what do we got next, my friend?
All right, our next topic comes from a friend of the show, Mad City Collector, and what he asks is, what makes a modern set collectible?
Ooh, that's a great question. Modern set collectible. Well, I think the first thing is there's got to be some provenance to it. Is it the first of sapphire, the first of prism, the first of a certain refractor that's very, very important? Like 93 Finest is a big set because they have the first refractor. So that kind of carries the set, right? A player obviously is your second thing. I think so you have the player, maybe a rookie or a very important player that's in the set, in the checklist. So that's number 2. And number 3, there has to be this sort of like communal, tribal acceptance that this is an important set, aesthetically pleasing, it looks good, right? So hey, there's a lot of folks that you look at some of these really cool, like I talk about Flair Brilliance 24K Gold. I mean, it's a subset, insert, what do you want to, whatever you want to call it, but, or Raise the Roof. Those are cards that I have no real like resonation with as a kid, but when you look at them, you've had them, they're like amazing, beautiful cards. So the aesthetic pleasing, they're so aesthetically pleasing that you're like, gosh, I can understand why this card's, even though it's, you know, numbered out of this and blah blah blah, but it still looks great. It's an amazing, beautiful card. That matters too. So I feel like has to be some sort of provenance to the set, the first of something that's important about it, first prism, first whatever, first gold refractor. The player, the checklist has to matter. You got to have some good, either good rookie cards in there or some, you know, loaded with great players that you want to have their cards in that particular set. And then the aesthetically pleasing piece to me, I think, would be important.
Yeah, for sure. And then one thing I thought of when we got this question from Mad City Collector was, you know, we talked before about how you rank things when you're looking for a card, and it's like, you know, the set, the rarity, and design. And we kind of went through that on a previous episode as far as ranking those 1, 2, 3. But I think what makes something collectible, it's all three of those together. Plus, like you said, the checklist and what names are in that checklist. You know, like I think about going back to the Game Gear Leatherbacks card I shared, right? So you've got Peyton, you've got Randy Moss, but then after that, I mean, yeah, you've got a guy like Edgerrin James and that sort of thing, and he's a Hall of Famer, but the checklist goes downhill real fast after that. And so that's why, you know, I think if you looked at it and say maybe it was a later year set and you had, you know, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees and Patrick Mahomes, let's say, like that's your checklist to go along with Peyton Manning and Randy Moss and maybe Jerry Rice is in there, then I think that makes that set more collectible because of the checklist of names in there and, you know, certain people chasing those cards. You know, they're not chasing, forget a name, and there was like Tim Taylor or somebody like that, you know, that no one collects. So I certainly think it's the aesthetics of the card. It certainly, you know, there's not a lot of people chasing, you know, the 2000 Collector's Edge Masters set that came in. So I think, you know, in terms of modern, the Panini Prisms and Panini Selects and, you know, and those kind of sets, I think they really matter. And then you get into the golds, like we know our, you know, certain friends of ours are collecting the 2013 Select Gold football set, you know, people that are collecting the 2012 Prism Gold basketball set, kind of so on and so forth. And so I think that those are the types of things that make those certain sets collectible. And like you mentioned, the first of something, I think, will always matter in the long term.
Well, maybe I'll make a comment that'll make me a bit of a heel. I know somebody wanted me to be one again, but maybe this is a little bit of a hot take. It'll upset some folks, but maybe sets don't really matter and they're not really carrying anything. It's the player at the end of the day, because you can have a great PMG card of a Hall of Famer and it can, you know, not carry the same value as that same player in the set that's like a Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. And so the set could be a beautiful, wonderful thing, but even if the checklist is great, there's only a couple players that are really going to command value. And it's not like having a player, you know, it's like, say, like 99. I'll use Razor Roof as the example. So obviously Kobe, Michael Jordan isn't in that set, so I think that diminishes the value of that set because he's not in it, right? I could be wrong. I'm almost positive he's not in it. So because he's not in it, it's just Kobe, and Kobe kind of leads the way with it in his card, obviously for obvious reasons. But you know, I wouldn't want anybody else other than Kobe out of that set for that card. I wouldn't want Paul Pierce. I wouldn't want anyone else. I would just want Kobe. And I think that these sets are great, but it's really just the card in the set. It's the player. And so the sets can be great sets, and all these things we talk about can be important, but really there's only a handful of players that are going to really drive value. As far as like and this is like kick this can. We've kicked this can down the road so many times, but there's a handful of players that they're going to be worth money regardless of the set. It doesn't matter what set. If Michael Jordan was in that set of that molten whatever that was, and on the back was a piece of a basketball, that card would be worth a lot of money because it's Michael Jordan, right? I think at the end of the day, that's what it is, and the rest of it, we're just collecting. I just kind of we have to kind of like, you know, come to grips with that, you know. Yeah. And it makes it scary with the current stuff. We talk about with the modern sets. And I don't know, man. You know, Cooney got hurt again. I mean, I don't know how you prospect on anything. These basketball players, football players. I mean, yeah, it's fun. It's gambling. But yikes! as far as long term, man, it's just got to be one of the greats. I mean, Jokic, I can't say that guy's name, man. Jokic. He's turning out to be, one of the best. He's creeping into Shaq land. And, I think that if you're a big Shaq person, do you worry? I don't know, I'm borrowing from, I think, one of the crossovers topics, because guys have great topics. What a great show. We were both, goobers for that show, but I'm rambling now, so I'll try to bring this home. I feel like modern sets, any set can be great. It's the player ultimately that really drives the demand of that set at the end of the day. And if certain player isn't in that set, and that set's almost obsolete. If that player is in the set, that card in that set's important, but the rest of the cards, meh. And that's where I feel like people have been getting in trouble in the past few years, myself included. My own fault, myself included, is that we go, oh wow, these are great sets, like PNGs or whatever, and we go buy a player we like, we love, but it's way less expensive. We think, oh gosh, here we go, I can be part of that. I got a card from that really great iconic set, but the set is only iconic because of 2 cards. And maybe there's set collectors that want to collect that set, but that's not driving it. It's just those 2 cards. Like for me, for PMGs, it's Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. That's it. Even Ken Griffey Jr., man, it's Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, and the rest of them, who cares? No offense to anybody out there. Who loves that set. And I might be a little bit, resentful right now. Don't get me wrong, so read through that a bit, but I just kind of feel like that's what it is. Now, if you want to collect those cards, you love those players, and that's awesome. If you got to do those cards really cheap, that's awesome. That's great. If you love that set, great. But to tell people, these cards are going to be worth so much more money later because they're part of this set that aren't Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, I don't know, man. I just feel like that's a stretch, and I feel like that's what a lot of us kind of were like. Oh yeah, we think that's going to happen, so we're going to buy some of these cards. I don't know a ton of people that have done that. I'm just getting that feeling based on some conversations I've had with some folks, and I know I've done it. So, I think it kind of goes back to just collect what you know and love, and people that resonate with you, and then you should be fine, right?
Yeah. Well, you think that, and I guess I'll try to be a heel too, right? Because everybody wants me to be a heel. I can't always be the good guy. The thing that I try to understand with the set, and it's not a modern set, but like, you take the 1986 Fleer, and there's been people that have been like, okay, the Star Cell that, it outsold the 86 Fleer and all that. But one of the things that I've tried to question is, I know people are trying to build like the PSA 10 stuff and things like that, but I'm like, why in the world does the PSA 10 of Johnny Moore sell for so much, right? Does it like that doesn't make sense to me, other than people building sets. And it's like, and why do people want to build that set so much, right? It's
well, I think
I don't know.
There's people that like to build the sets, and I understand that that's what drives, and the set's what drives people's desire to buy those cards. There's not very many of the PSA 10 Johnny Moores, so you get a couple people that are like, that's the last card I need. Oh my gosh, it finally comes up. Only takes 2 people to drive that number way up that really need that card for their set to be complete. And as a person who's trying to complete a set right now, there's a motivation there, man. Why did I spend this much money on a Dale Ellis PSA 9? It's, yeah, you go, this is insane, but but at the end of the day, you kind of like get this satisfaction. So it's a weird thing, but that's just one component of the hobby, right? I'm just talking about long-term people that want to put sets together. I don't think that's driving everything down the road. I think what's going to drive things down the road are the iconic, transcendent players and their cards. That's it. And I don't think there's going to be 15 of them every generation. I think you get 1 in each sport every generation, maybe 2. That's what you get. You get Michael Jordan, you get Kobe, you get Wayne Gretzky, you get Ken Griffey Jr. or maybe Mike Trout. I don't know who's going to be Shohei Ohtani. I don't know who that person's going to be with this next generation. You got Mickey Mantle, and you keep going, right? I mean, there's just Hank Aaron. Willie Mays. You don't have in football, the football, Tom Brady,
Patrick
Mahomes. He might be the next guy, right? But it's like we can count them on our hand, like 2 hands in the last 100 years almost. Babe Ruth. it's those are the people that are going to, when people want to buy cards later, are going to look at that. They're going to look at Michael Jordan. They're going to look at all these, the Jumpman brand, and everything transcends. Hopefully Ken Griffey Jr. I mean, he's pretty popular, but you're going to have those generations later that'll go, okay, they're not going to be, oh, this particular set because it was cool during this 5-year period. And a lot of us thought there's too much explaining that has to go into that. It's just like, I have a Michael Jordan card. It's a PSA 10 of this year. It's really cool to me. And that's what matters. Anyway, it ran over, but that's a cool little deviation. I think we kind of took up all our time deviating off that, but I don't know. I think that was a worthy discussion.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. It's just it's a great question, and it's one that I think we've hit on before, right? It's certain sets were not collectible when they were introduced, and then now they're collectible. And so you wonder, is the stuff now that everybody seems to be collecting, will people care about that 20 years from now, or is it going to be the thing that's neglected now that the influencers and the people are not shoving down your throat? Is it going to be something else that somebody is sitting in the corner and quietly building this huge collection of something that one day the hobby's going to wake up and be like, wow, man, like these are really cool cards. So it's interesting to think of.
It is interesting to think of. Well, thank you for letting us be interesting, hopefully interesting to you. Comment below. What do you think? Are we wrong? Are we both way off base on this? Do you agree with us? Do you have something else to say, to add to the conversation? We love to hear from you. Obviously, we include some of your content in the following episode and answer some of your questions. So thanks for tuning in again, Drake. It's been fun. I'll let you get back to your day. We'll get back to our days. Have a great weekend, everybody. You know what to press to subscribe, like, share, the whole 9. Comment below. Love collecting, having fun with it. Thanks for letting us talk. We'll see you all on the flip side.